astrologist. And so, Inbaal, I hear you've been reading the tarot for a long time.
The tarot has been my passion for a really long time. I started reading tarot when I lived in Greece. I stayed with a friend, and in Greece, everyone reads a little something. There's no kind of separation between occultist and Christian. No, people go to church, get back from the church, put on a little coffee. When they finish a little coffee, they turn it upside down, they read the coffee cup. Fabulous culture, possibly my favorite. So the lady I stayed with used to read playing cards initially. So we would read playing cards and some Greek cards. And one time she said to me, now I have a big question. Sorry, I can't do accents, but she had a German accent and really fabulous, very long vowels. And she said, for this question, I have to bring out the tarot. The tarot, she said, I don't bring out much because the tarot I respect much. And she brought out a silk bag, and in it was a deck of Thoth with all the words in German. So it was still a long time before I knew any of the names in English. And she read them. And I thought that just to look at, they were so much easier to read than playing cards, because with playing cards, you've got to figure it all out. You've got 4 of clubs. Good luck figuring what's there. So in comparison, I found the Thoth easy and approachable and really friendly. And I didn't read a lot of it that summer when I was with her. I got very good at reading the playing cards. But when I went back to London, where I used to spend my winters, which I know sounds like an insane proposition, but it was better than spending my winters in Greece. When I went back to London, I got a couple of books. You might be horrified to know that neither of them was the Book of Thoth. I got a couple of books that just helped me understand the system of the tarot. And then for maybe 5 years, I'd never leave the house without my tarot in a wooden box, and would practice on anyone that happened to cross my path. And that was in the 90s. That was a really, really long time ago. So I think the reason that it sounds like I've been passionate about the tarot for a really long time is because I've just been alive for a really long time now.
So you're still young. You're younger than us.
Everything is relative, exactly. I'm 47 years old. I met the tarot when I was 20 years old.
Didn't have to say that bit.
So
we'll leave that bit out.
I am not embarrassed about my age or my height. It's really just my dating history that I'd rather keep in the dark. But I am super comfortable about all the stuff that comes with being a human being, because I think aging is so much better than the alternative.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. So, I mean, that's, the way you've learned the tarot is the best way to do readings on people, because they're the ones that
do readings. It's a wonderful way, but I have to confess that I feel so out of my depth when I talk to actual tarot scholars like the two of you, because I had to catch up with all the theory of it much, much later, because I found it so easy and so approachable, and I've been able to see things that didn't need explaining. It really felt like a mother tongue to me. And then when you kind of deconstruct your mother tongue and you're like, oh yeah, so really that Princess of Swords is not sitting on a mountain of skulls. I don't know, always looked like a mountain of skulls to me. When you're deconstructing it and realize what the actual intent behind it was, it is a little overwhelming. So around scholars, I do still feel like a 20-year-old just sort of taking her first steps in it.
Well, the thing is, Inbaal, is that scholars very often are in ivory towers anyway. I spent years reading the Thoth Tarot as well and trying to understand it, especially with the book, and really struggling with it. So it's the best way actually to have actual experience of using it and figuring things out. And then later, it's okay later to find out what actually the card represents, because most people don't know. We sort of skate around the subject, don't we, Bart, sometimes, as to
be
what
honest
the card
now,
is.
I understand where you come from, but ask yourself this. I remember when I used to have a girlfriend who was into tarot. She was into all tarots, and I saw the Thoth Tarot, and I fell in love with that one. And the thing was, she was scared of it, so she gave it back to me. And I from the first moment, it's easy to feel the meaning of the cards, even if you know nothing about tarot, you know nothing about nothing. Because if I look back to then, I wouldn't say that my reading has improved a lot with knowing all the theory. My readings were actually, I think, just as accurate as they are now, except you know more background, so you do know more different finesses to the meanings of the cards. But most of the knowledge hidden in the cards has to do with initiation and with magic and all, and is not so relevant when you're actually doing divination, I find.
Yeah,
I really, really agree with that. I consider the tarot a magical tool. I don't think it's just a work of psychology that's meant to look into the human psyche. I think that's oversimplifying something that is really such an intense and, like you say, very nuanced, very finesse approach to seeing not just what happens within the humans, but everything around them. And I think it's really true. The reading will be just as accurate, whether you know all the intricacies of it or whether you know very little of it at all. But it is a comfort when you know more about each card, because you can kind of trust yourself that you are delivering the message exactly the way that it was meant to be delivered. But I also want to refer to what you said, Paul, that with reading the book, that it is a struggle. I find that when I go over the cards, and even when I teach them, there's stuff that you see and you kind of go, is it on purpose? It looks almost random. And I don't think Crowley put anything random there, not a single line. And therefore, I think when I read the book, and like I said, me and the book, we don't have a long history together. And I will say in my own defense, I read 777 cover to cover with the charts and everything, still never made it to the Book of Thoth until previous Christmas. But I think if Crowley had constructed the book in such an enigmatic way, I think he did that on purpose as well, so that the process of learning happens for the practitioner in that gap between the words in the book and the images in the cards, and they kind of respond to each other, but they have to go via your brain and all the synapses to really kind of assimilate into you. And it's very comforting to me to be talking to people who definitely get what I mean. But there's also a little voice in the back of my head that says, anyone that bumps into this on YouTube out of the blue will think you're bananas. I don't care. I don't care. I'm fine with who I am. But I do think that the tarot holds a lot of magic in it, and not just the Thoth deck. For me, it's awful to say, but when I started teaching people from the Rider-Waite Smith deck, because I think, well, that one really is approachable to a lot of people, and it has more easy to explain concepts. But I thought, in my great foolishness, that Rider-Waite Smith was really basic. And again, it took a lot of years and a lot of maturity to see that that was an intense magical tool as well. And so I think all tarot, not just as a system, but in the way that it has been executed by different artists. And even now, when a lot of artists on social media take the tarot system as a project, because it is such a fascinating project if you're a creator, even now, I believe that each of those decks is a unique and individual magical tool. I'm very evangelical about it.
The problem with that, you're right, but the problem is it's that artist's magical tool. It's
Yes.
not your magical tool. You have to create your own. I mean, one of the things the Golden Dawn sort of said to move up the system is that you actually had to create your own tarot deck and color it in as well. So this is not something I've done.
No, not me.
I think just doing thousands and thousands of readings using the same tarot deck and the same spread, you build up your knowledge and things. And I agree with you. It is the structure of the Book of Thoth is tricky, and he's also not playing to the gallery or sort of spoon feeding you either. He just confronts you with things that you don't know. And a lot of people don't like that because they think, well, I can be told and then I'll know, but that's not how it works. So but that's what makes it more fun, because every time I come back, I mean, I've read this book probably 1,000 times, I think, or something like that. And there's bits of it that I just sort of think, God, this is just like nothing. And then some bits think, bloody hell, I can't remember reading that bit before. So he's structuring things in a way that you have to expand and transform and confront yourself with so many things that go on.
Well, I think we can all agree that he's on about a lot about. There's a lot of. They say if you read The Magical Secret, you can only understand the part that's written about it if you already know it.
Yes.
No, you can only get it.
Recognition.
Now, and that's what the Book of Thoth is good for.
Yeah.
You read it the first time and it's already a revelation on many things. You think, and you're really glad some parts you understand because I'm not English. No, so you
English
read it the first time and it's
well.
already a big revelation. But then the second time you read it, a bit later on, there's plenty of things that you didn't understand the first time that you do now. And I find that a great experience. So you read the same thing, but there's so many new things or new insights and new ways you understand them. That's it's like not the same book that you read.
Yeah. It's so.
I think that's how people who read the Bible every day describe the Bible. And considering Crowley's childhood was very steeped in Bible, there might have been literary methods that might have been, borrowed from that kind of enigma.
Yes, absolutely. He's I mean, the language he uses, I mean, it's trying to improve his language is not something you do lightly, because he's got this.
Sorry, but he's got this big eternal love-hate relationship with the Bible and with religion. I mean, he's all about religion everywhere, and yet he's like a teenager protesting, rebelling against it. And on the other hand, all his work is soaked in it.
Yes, and I can tell you this: that there are a lot of biblical quotes in the Book of Thoth. You don't realize.
I didn't know.
It's sort of odd phrases. You stick them into Google, and it comes up. Oh, this is Matthew chapter 3, verse 6, or something like that.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that, but I find that for me, because I don't come from a Christian background, when I look at his deck, to me, a lot of stuff there is super Christian, because I know that it's different to my frame of reference, which is kind of ironic considering he tried to extract a lot of the more obvious in-your-face Christian references, which is why a couple of the major arcana are very different to what they would be traditionally. But I think the more It's like when gray hair starts to come, the more you try to get rid of it, the more sprouts instead of. So even
on that one.
I'm nearly there. But yeah, even just looking at something so basic, everyone loves this guy, right? And I explain it to like lay people, and I say to them, look, it's a huge gold coin surrounded by angel wings. Everyone loves that explanation because it kind of puts that the intent of it across in a very specific and in a very appropriate way. But because in Jewish upbringing, the angels are something that really remained in the desert, and you go into a synagogue and you're not going to see angel wings anywhere because you're forbidden any graven image. Then for me, even looking at this guy that is like so neutral, I'm thinking, ooh, there's a bit of Bible there as well. It's never too far away, and I'm almost sure that I can pull literally anything and there will be something just a little bit Christian there. So yeah, I really relate to you saying it.
Yeah, the Rose Cross and Christian Rozenkreutz is what it refers to as well. That's a very much a Christian thing. The Golden Dawn system is based upon Christian Rozenkreutz. I mean, if it comes from Hebrew, and the Christian religion comes via Judaism.
Yeah.
So they're going to have parallels and similarities, but we're not trying to ram religion down anyone's throat here. It's just the fact that it is a very, I mean, also the whole thing with the Book of the Law, and he's creating this new religion and everything else, but he's doing it with Egyptian gods, and where did and the Egyptian gods are the basis of Judaism. They're in there somewhere as well. And it goes on to Christianity too, you see. So he's feeding into a massive, thousands of years of history in doing all of it.
And also the kind of search to separating things and leaving things very purist and stuff is something that I don't think even existed in antiquity, because different people will have adopted versions of the gods from culture to culture. Isis was all over the place, and there is I'm going to say newly discovered mosaic in Israel. It's not newly discovered, it's about 10-12 years old. It wasn't around when I was a child. Now when I go there, in an ancient synagogue, you can't really sort of walk 2 meters in Israel without stumbling on something ancient and synagogue-y. And there's a huge mosaic of all the star signs. It's a big zodiac wheel, right? With the names of the zodiac in Hebrew. And 3 feet away from it, there is a little washroom with, and I don't know how to pronounce it in Greek, Hygiene's name, whoever would have been the goddess of hygiene. And some, right. And then a couple of meters next to it, there is some inscription for Semele. Odysseus, mommy?
Semele is the moon goddess.
Not Selene. Semele. She was not Selene. Semele was, I think, Odysseus' mum. She's somebody's mother at any rate. So all of those super pagan icons are there in an ancient synagogue that will have been covered for literally thousands of years, because the mosaic still has a bit of color in it, which definitely would not have happened with the Mediterranean sun over it had it not been covered. And you've got, I think in St. Albans, you've got a church with a zodiac wheel in it. So that kind of purist notion is some kind of a unnecessary egotistical need that maybe I would have when I look at it and I think, oh, bit Christian, why isn't it purely pagan? Because you know what, like you say, nothing ever is, and everything is built on whatever came before it. And everything is relevant that works.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a very interesting thing that happened in the 19th century. They actually started doing scholarly research on the Bible for the first time. Before, it was just the Bible says this and that's it.
Yeah.
They actually started to deconstruct the Bible, and then they found that there's a lot of things from a lot of other cultures and things like that as well. And there's Madame Blavatsky in Theosophy. She was in that sort of period as well in the Victorian times, where she was uniting Eastern and Western concepts and beliefs. And Crowley believed he's continuing Madame Blavatsky's work actually. And for the Golden Dawn, and for the Golden Dawn as well. I mean, it is a syncretic thing that they're doing. They bring in all these kind of things, Coptic, which is and Greek, and there's Arabic as well. But we don't bother with Arabic because the letters aren't sort of shaped easily like the Hebrew letters are. So I mean,
totally worth investing in learning the Arabic letters, though, because yes. I think just the very exercise of teaching your brain to separate this into into 4 different letters, because what is fascinating in Arabic is that some letters have a form that's only at the start of a letter, a different form that's only in the middle of a letter, and a different form that's only in the end. So, for example, the letter M would look, I'm trying to do it the opposite way around so it makes sense to you. So it would look like this, like a snail when it starts.
Right.
So that's at the start of a letter, like in Muhammad.
Yes.
And it would look like a full squiggle, kind of it kind of goes over itself, because a full squiggle is a throaty but it would kind of go over itself a bit like a script A when it's in the middle of a word, so it would connect to both ends, and then on the end of a word, like in mum, it would have a tail that goes below. Totally worth trying to learn a bit of Arabic. I'm sure you can read Greek. Can you read the Greek script?
Yeah, sure. No, I can't.
No, really? Oh no.
Well, some of them
Greek is so fun. Come on, 2 weeks in
Omicron
Greece,
now, don't you, Bart?
Yeah.
Delta and Gamma.
Oh yeah, but that's mathematics, eh? Oh yes.
Yeah, okay, so you can read Greek. If you're a math geek, you know a lot more Greek than you think.
And of course, Crowley puts in a lot of mathematics into his Book of Thoth as well. There's Euclidean geometry, and there's non-Euclidean geometry as well, and also Einstein's theories of relativity come into all of this too. So it's a huge range that he sort of bits of it all over the place. You just have to join the dots up. Just have to join.
Yeah, and I think he's obviously explored a lot of directions from a very young age. And in a way, maybe the tarot was just putting everything together as kind of like a parting gift. Of course, then he didn't part for a while, but it's in my view, such a holy, positive, complete work of art and magic that I think, that was the box that all the demons, in a positive way, all the demons ended up at, because there really is everything there.
And it's timeless. You can't say when you look at it from what age it is. It could be brand new, it could be very old. And like Paul already said, you can't even say what style it really is. Usually tarots have a style. This one looks old, that one looks like that. But the Thoth Tarot doesn't look like anything. It just looks like the Thoth Tarot.
Yeah. No, I really agree with that. And, every once in a while I get all excited when somebody says, there's a deck in like the Thoth style. And I look at it and I'm like, it's either. Exactly. It's either like a copy, which is nice, a little homage, or so different that you have to go, where can you see any similarities between this absolute work of perfection and that, knockoff that you're showing me there?
It's more of the
thing is, of
artist's
course,
prejudices, isn't it, that comes out at that point, rather than anything else. I think we're going to have to end here, because we could go on for hours, I think, on these subjects.
I think perhaps, yeah, months.
And what we're going to do, we're going to put Inbaal's website or Facebook link and things in there as well.
Thank you.
Thanks to hopefully, Inbaal, this has been fantastic. We had no idea how this was going to go this evening, because this is literally the first time we spoke. We had a few chats in Facebook, and they're just hi, and that's about it. It's like teenagers. So now we're actually seeing each other. We know
like grown ups. Yeah.
And we're gonna do more of these on other subjects.
I'm available.
So we're all up for it, and looks forward to the next one.